Hello, and welcome back to Pender's Garage. Today I'm going to be continuing on the 1973 Civic Build. I'm going to set the body onto the frame and start fabricating a body mounting system. So far I've removed all the little bits off of the car that were in the way, and the frame has been fully welded since you guys last saw it. Without further ado, let's get the body up high and get this frame into position.
My back hurts. No. Oh, we're way off. Ooh, still got a long way to go. Dadgum, dude. This is not how I pictured it. I really thought this would be narrower. Well, oh well. That's what we got, so. Okay. My measurements were off by a little bit, apparently. Oh boy. The car doesn't weigh that much. No promises. I'm getting ready to do something pretty smart. I'm pretty sure that's pulling my board down. I mean, I was warned that this wasn't gonna work, but you know, sometimes you just gotta figure it out for yourself. Okay, here we go. That's how it's done. Apparently, whoever told me that you can't do this with 2x4 Raptor hasn't tried it on my 2x4. Okay, so that worked barely. You just had to let it bend the board a little bit, and then it started working just fine. So, we'll try not to do that very often. Don't recommend doing that at home. I think that's going to be too much. I do. I think that's going to be way too high. We're in monster truck mode right now, which is just way too much. That looks goofy. I got a lot of cutting to do. The body. Oh yeah. It's only a lot wobbly. Okay, step back and take a look. Well, if we were trying to build a monster truck, it'd be perfect. Too bad that's not what we're going for. I need this thing to go down at least 6 inches. I want it at a minimum of the frame horn to touch the bottom of the balance. So 6 inches at a minimum. And that just so happens to be how thick the frame is. So pretty much we will be channeling the body so that you can't even see the frame. So and that works fine for me. I'd be happy with that. That would look good. Don't need to see the frame. Maybe just the very bottom of the frame would be fine with me. And okay, we're gonna have to do a lot of cutting. I mean, a lot of cutting, which is okay with me. Like I said, not a big deal. Gotta do what you gotta do. So we can pull the frame back out and stick our sawzall up there and just cut a line through it. Kind of a bummer, but oh well. It is what it is.
Alrighty guys, so we were filming, cutting this thing out, and battery died on the camera, so he missed a little bit. We went ahead and finished up cutting this firewall out, and we aren't done cutting it out. This is just for the meantime. I went ahead and leave this stuff in here so that we didn't want to take too much structure out of this thing. We'll get the frame put underneath here and get that kind of tied into the floor, put some structure back in the bottom, and then I'll feel safe to cut the cowl section out. There it is. Got it all cut out. As you can see, it'll give us room for the frame, but we still got a couple pieces there from a support or a piece of the structure that we'll have to cut out still yet. Now what I'm going to do is finish trimming out that, and we're going to slide the frame back in here and see how good it fits.
Well, it has been about a month since the last time we videoed on this car. It is now middle of November, and there is snow on the ground. It is much colder in the garage than it was last time. So we've done a lot of little things to the car since the last time we were able to film. Last thing we filmed was the frame was going underneath the car, and the car was sitting pretty high still. So we had channeled for the frame, but we had to make quite a few other little cuts. So I'll go ahead and show you what it looks like now. The car is sitting quite a bit lower than it was last time. I'm hoping that once we put the weight of the engine and transmission and all that in the front, that it won't settle down too much, but it's not a big deal to lift the car up a little bit if we need to, but I don't want it to be too high and look like a monster truck. Kind of going for that street freak gasser look. So we did stick the rear end underneath the car just to kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like. I do like the way it looks. It does stick out quite a bit, but that's okay. I'm going for kind of a crazy, off-the-wall looking car, and being a little bit wider, you know, yeah, it looks a little bit goofy, but you know, we can always narrow the rear end in the future if we want to, or even just get a completely different setup in the future. So I'll go ahead and open the hatch, kind of show you guys what we got going on in here. So we ended up having to pretty much cut out this whole section of the body here. It was keeping the body from setting down far enough. Pretty happy with how it sits now. As you can see right now, the thing is channeled pretty much all the way to the point that you won't see the frame from underneath the car. And that's kind of what I was going for. I was okay with seeing a little bit of the frame, but once I started cutting, I realized, you know, it's going to look just right to have this thing tucked all the way up in the body. And I think we'll still have plenty of room for, you know, headroom and stuff like that. Whenever we get the seats in here and everything, yeah, we'll sit a little bit higher, but that's okay. And I'm contemplating going ahead and just finishing cutting out this floor because there's really not much left at this point anyways, and what is left is kind of rusty and really isn't very structural. I was planning on using these leaf springs that came with this rear end, that came with this frame when I bought it, and I really want to run side exit exhaust on this car. It's kind of part of the entire visual appeal of this car when it's going to be done, and I'm not going to be able to run the side exit exhaust tips like I was planning on with this leaf spring setup. There's just not enough room in there to have them coming out, and so we're going to ditch the leaf springs. I also realized too now, once I get it all set here, that leaf spring comes out a little farther than I'd like it to for the visual aspect of it.
Okay, so here is my idea for how to tie in this body to the frame with using the least amount of material, least amount of money, and it still be nice and strong. What we're gonna do is plate with that sheet right around here, or maybe even all the way up here on the body to give it a little bit more of something to weld to. So we'll weld that to the body, and then we'll weld the tubing to that. Make a little channel into this frame so that that 2-inch tube can sit down into the frame, and then we'll box it in. I think it'll still be plenty strong whenever we're all done tying the body in and everything, and we pull the body back off in the future. We're planning on boxing the frame in, and I think it's going to be more than strong enough if we do that. So if we need more, we'll add more, but I'm going to start with that. For now, I'm just going to worry about putting 2 of them in, one in the middle rear area and one up in the front. And I think that'll be sufficient. It's going to be leaps and bounds stronger than what this Civic had originally, which was just stamped steel going across. We got it all welded up. It turned out good enough for me. I still got to clean it up and everything. I'll be war welding with no gas, just the flux core. Just what I keep here at the house. But we went ahead and left, just tacked in this main pipe, but went ahead and fully welded up where the plate goes to the body. And I realized that this is going to get cut out eventually, and it'll have to be put in a hoop here for the transmission.
But as far as height goes, this is just about what I'm going for right here. It looks really good. It looks very aggressive. It also doesn't look too tall. It's cool. I like it a lot. So far, we've managed to keep everything fairly period correct with this car. All the parts used on this car were available back then, except for the 4.3 liter, which I'm going to pretty much just call 3/4 of the small block Chevy, which did exist back then. And yeah, the car itself is a 1973, but I'd like to tell myself that people were still doing this sort of build setup in 1973. Maybe not so much on the drag strip, but on the street, I know people were doing it, and I know that it was a common thing. So,
well guys, that's going to do it for today. Hit that like button, give me a subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.